Grand Canyon National Park car tour begins from Flagstaff, Arizona, northbound onto U.S. Route 89, about 56 miles across the high plains of north-central Arizona. We will be using time compression to speed up our video over the highways and paved roads on this tour. The first leg of our day trip took about 1 hour and 15 minutes. The temperature was 10 degrees and sunny this January 3rd day in 2015. For 3 days it had snowed and many of the roads were ice covered, so while it appears we are moving at 150 miles an hour, we are actually driving much slower and always cautious of ice patches. From time to time, I will display our car's GPS screen to give an idea of our location. We come to a traffic circle to make our turn onto Desert View Road, or Arizona Route 64, headed north toward the east entrance of the Grand Canyon National Park gate. plan on making one stop before we get to the actual park entrance to have a look at Little Colorado River Canyon, where it comes closest to our Main Route 64. Just to the right, we see a turnoff to the driveway to view Little Colorado River Canyon. Just ahead is a cattle crossing guard, and we'll stop before that so as not to get stuck in the snow and ice on the other side. Parking on a safe flat roadway and walking a short distance is easier to grab a few pictures of this small site. Our altitude so far has averaged about 5,000 feet, but we will soon be climbing to the southeast rim, which will run between 7,000 and 7,500 feet. Our Weather Traveler's Guide warns us that the rim drive is mostly snow and ice covered, but hopefully the park has the main drive and a few overlook sites cleared. Back on Desert View Road and continuing toward the east gate of the park, the ice and snow still on the road is becoming more common as we climb toward 6,500 feet. While the government charges a fee to enter most national parks these days, any citizen over 65 years can obtain a lifetime free pass at any park main station for a very small fee. If you plan on visiting the national parks more than once, I would advise you to get a pass, as it can save you hundreds of dollars. Just ask for them at any main park station. Just ahead is the East Gate, and we will stop briefly and show our passes for entrance. Just past the main gate, we turn into our first park stop. It is marked with a well-recognized stone tower called the Watchtower, and the site location is called Desert View. The 70-foot high watchtower was completed in 1932 and was designed by American architect Mary Coulter. The design was made to resemble the ancient Pueblo people's towers, but this one is actually much larger than those built by the ancients. The base is a much larger room and has a roof that supports a deck. At the top are irregular rectangular windows all around for a 360-degree view. The ground elevation at the tower is 7,500 feet. As this location is the first one in the park from the entrance road, it has nice restrooms and a small building where you can view displays and learn about the various features of the park. There is also a place to buy supplies for your hiking needs. In front of the tower is the rim edge where we can view the canyon's 230-degree vista, including the Colorado River, the Little Colorado River feed, and the North Rim, anywhere from 8 to 30 miles away. As with most of my travel productions, this one is filmed in 3D to give a more realistic look at the canyon. Because the canyon is so large, we are using two cameras spread wide apart to add additional depth to the scenes. Even with this system, many of the background shots of the canyon wall will appear flat, as achieving depth of the landscape many miles away is just not practical on a day trip visit to the park. My twin cameras will be spread about 1 meter apart, and the closer shots will use a single 3D camera with more conventional spacing. Finishing here, we head back on the road, going west to our next stop, Navajo Point. Here, we can look back at the watchtower on the canyon rim in the distance. Continuing on to Lipan Point, we stop and get some new vistas and various rock formations rising up from the canyon floor. The various colors represent a variety of minerals, granite, and sandstone on either side of the Colorado River. We also now can see some of the rapids that challenge those looking for that sort of adventure. Being that it is winter, with very cold temperatures, even on the river, no rafters or kayaker adventures can be found. Our next stop is Moran Point, a good distance west on East Rim Drive, also known as Route 64. At Moran Point, we find a variety of evergreen trees and snow on the canyon wall, making for some added greenery and color to contrast the white snow and desert color rock. Okay, here is Grand View Point, again far enough away from Moran Point that we see the east end of the Grand Canyon from a different perspective. After Grand View Point, our road runs right along the rim, and we visit 3 of the 4 roadside pull-offs to grab more of the scenic vistas. One of the nice things about visiting the Grand Canyon in the coldest days of winter, assuming you can get here between snow and ice storms, is there are far few numbers of tourists. As you can see, we haven't had any trouble getting a parking spot at the various vista points of view. In peak season, it is nearly impossible to visit the South Rim due to so many cars and people. Years ago, we learned that is the time to visit the North Rim, as it is much more difficult to reach, so there are very few crowds to block your access. final stop for the day is Mather Point. This is the main gate location just east of the Grand Canyon Village and the shortest travel time from Flagstaff to the park. It is also heavily populated even in the low season because the stores and hotels are in this area. Well, that's about it for today. We hope you've enjoyed our travels from Flagstaff, Arizona, north into the east gate of the Grand Canyon National Park, and then westbound on Route 64 over the rim to Mather Point.